Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good morning everyone. Today is going to be another interesting lecture about Kamaji Rupas. I was able to send the handout very late, just a few minutes ago. Because I had some duties to accomplish. So I gave the handout covering even the previous two lectures that I have done. So in the handout you may see I have covered the two lectures we did last week, and also added the small part that we'll be discussing today. But actually, though the handout contains a very little part, little explanation about today's lecture, today's lecture would be quite extensive and interesting. So what we have discussed so far, we know that according to Theravada tradition, in the matter of in the bodies of living beings, some matter are produced by past karma. Matter is not only created by causes of this life, not only because of food that we consume, and not only because the things that we get from our parents, but also by karmas done in past lives. So such rupas were called Kamaji Rupas, matter produced by karma or karma. And we also discussed that there are 18 types of Kamaji Rupas. There are 18 types of Kamaji Rupas, and out of these 18, 9 are only produced by karma, but not by any other major cause, because we know that there are 4 major causes for the rupa. Karma is one, mentalities, chitta and cetasikas is the second, and then we have also the element of tejo and the nutriment element oja. 9 are produced only by karma, which were called ekanta kamaja rupas, and the remaining 9 can be produced by other causes as well. So we name them as anekanta kamaja rupas. If you can look into the handout, it was given very late, just a few minutes ago. You can see it in the phone. So then we now something to be called karma. Who has the capacity to produce Kamaji Rupas and Vipaka Chitta Chesikas in the resultants? So the answer was, according to Theravadians, Chetana. Chetana has the capacity to produce resultants. But not all Chetanas. There were some necessary factors, necessary requirements. So if you go into the handout, page number 1, I have given you the explanation. This is what we did last week, but it is very necessary to talk what we are going to discuss today. Today we are going to discuss about the capacity of karma to produce various Kamaja Santati. Capacity of karma to produce various Kamaja Santatis. That's our topic today. For that, we need to get the revision done. So, not all Chetanas has the capacity. A Chetana which arises in a mind stream where the latent tendencies are not eradicated, and at the same time, a Chetana which arises together with a Javana Chitta, a powerful consciousness, and which has the effortfulness. So these were the conditions. If say such a Chetana has the capacity to produce results, produce Vipaka Chitta Chesikas, and some has the ability to produce Kamaja Rupas as well. Then there were such 25 Chetanas, we discussed on this, and the matter that is produced by such Chetana are called Kamaja Rupas, and they appear in clusters. Such a cluster of Kamaja Rupas are called Kamaja Kalapa, and their generation of such clusters is called Kamaja Santati. And we also discussed there are 9 Kamaja Santatis based on the 9 Kamaja Kalapas that we have. In a one Kamaja Santati contains only one type of Kamaja Kalapa. One Kamaja Santati contains only one type of Kamaja Kalapa. It means if you talk about Chakku Santati, it has only Chakku Dasak Kalapas. It doesn't have different Kalapas in it. And also we discussed, now if you go into these are the very important fundamentals that would lead to our today's lecture. If you go into the page number 4, the one last one before that, we gave some fundamentals required for the Kamaja Santatis. Now we came from Kamma, we discussed about Kamma, then Kamaja Rupa, Kamaja Kalapa, Kamaja Santati. So this is the Kamma that produces Kamaja Rupa and Vipaka Chitta Chaisikas. They are the production. They are their clusters of Kamaja Kalapas, and they are generation of clusters of Kamaja Rupas and generation of Kamaja Kalapas. So now our focus is at this Kamaja Santati, because these are the ones that are necessary in performing certain functions. But actually they constitute with Kamaja Kalapas. So in the end we can also mention that we are talking about Kamaja Kalapas. Kamaja Kalapas are made out of Kamaja Rupas. So in the end we can say we are talking about Kamaja Rupas. Now the fundamentals that we discussed, if you move into the number 2.85, normally Kamaja Santatis arise from the moment of Patisandhi. Kamaja Santatis arise from the moment of Patisandhi. And before that, we move on to 2.84. There are 9 Kamaja Santatis, and each Kamaja Santati performs unique functions. They perform unique functions. The Chakku Santati facilitates seeing, Sota Santati facilitates hearing, Gana Santati facilitates smelling, Jivha Santati facilitates tasting, Kaya Santati facilitates the experience in the touch, feeling the touch, and Iti Bhava Santati makes the entire body to be feminine, rupas of the body to be feminine, and also causes some feminine attitudes in the mind. And Pumbhava Santati causes the entire body to be masculine and also causes to have some masculine attitudes in the mind. And Vattu Santati becomes the base for the consciousness to occur, mind consciousness to happen in the realm of 5 aggregates, Panchabokara. And Jivita Santati sustains the body. It helps for the continuation of the body. So they have various functions. So it means that each Kamaja Santati is different from each other. They have different capacities, different characteristics. Now, normally a Kamaja Santati arises from the moment of Patisandhi, but exceptions are there for the Gabbasayaka beings who are born in the womb. This includes the egg-born beings as well. So some of their Kamaja Santatis happen sometime later to their Patisandhi. In most of the cases, normally Kamaja Santatis has to happen at the moment of Patisandhi, except for Gabbasayakas. But for them as well, 3 Kamaja, as mentioned, 3 Kamaja Santatis start from the moment of Patisandhi. We shall be discussing about them a bit later. Then a fundamental that we thoroughly discussed was 2.86. All the Kalapas in a Kamaja Santati are produced by a single Kamma done in a past life. All the Kalapas in a one single Santati are produced by a single Kamma. It means if this is the Chakku Santati, it's produced by a one karma. If you take it Kamma 1, it's not possible that this is produced by 2 kammas together. No, it's not possible. It's also not possible that some part of this generation is produced by one kamma and then another part, a latter part is produced by a different kamma. No. The entire generation is produced by one kamma. That is a very basic fundamental. And then another fundamental that we discussed, which has been also mentioned in the handout, one kamma, just be like this, right? One kamma can produce few Kamaja Santatis. Now if this is Chakku Santati, CS, Sota Santati, all the Kamaja Santatis sometimes can be produced by the same karma. It's also possible. At the same time, there's another fundamental. If this is Chakku Santati, this is Sota Santati, 2 kammas. Kamma 1 may produce Chakku Santati, while another kamma, kamma 2, may produce the Sota Santati. This is also possible. So it means Kamaja Rupas in someone's body can be produced by the same karma or can be produced by various karmas. But one single Santati is always produced by one single karma. So this is a very important fundamental that we have to keep in mind. I have explained this in, so that is another very important fundamental which we have mentioned in 2.86 and 2.87. Right, so 86, 87 and 88. So these are the three fundamentals that we discussed so far. A karma gain. Now then, this is what our topic is today. This is our topic. How a single karma gets the capacity. How a single karma gets the capacity to produce different kamaja santatis which perform different functions. So normally it is an idea that the effect has to be according to the cause. The nature of the cause, the nature of the effect is determined by the nature of the cause. So now we see one single cause producing various effects which has different functions, different characteristics. How this is possible? So it should be that the cause has also been affected by some sort of various conditions. That is the normal logical answer. So this question has been raised in the commentarial literature, especially in the sub-commentarial literature. The Kathavattu commentary states that one karma can produce various, it's normally accepted norm that one karma can produce various kamaja santatis. The Kathavattu commentary says different kamaja santatis can be produced, it's not always, can be produced by different karma. Then the question which comes is, how could one single karma produce different santatis which have different attributes or different functions? For that, we need to analyze this phenomenon deeply. For that, we need to go into the explanation about what is a karma that can produce kamaja rupas. Now, karma which produces vipaka. Vipaka are the mentalities. We normally don't use the word vipaka to kamaja rupas. In English, we may call resultant mentalities and resultant matter. It's possible. But normally the word vipaka is used for chitta chetasikas. Vipaka, chitta and chetasikas. And kamaja rupa. It is possible that sometimes we may use vipaka word to kamaja rupas. It's possible, but in Abhidhamma, it's a strict usage that it doesn't fit. Because the word vipaka means ripen. So ripening has to happen in elements of the same nature. The kamma ripens as vipaka. It doesn't ripen as a kamaja rupa. Since kamma is a mentality, so its ripening stage has also to be a mentality. Like when we plant a seed, the results of this seed, in conventional usage, result or the outcome of a seed is another seed. For instance, if you plant a mango seed, you may get a mango fruit, at least the fruit. But in the process, it's also clear that the trees, the branches, leaves are also outcomes of this mango seed. But when we say the crop of a seed, means it has to be a fruit or another seed. So likewise, in conventionally saying, we normally do not use the word vipaka referring to the kamaja rupas because karma is a mentality and its ripened stage also need to be a mentality. So it's sort of a usage. So I'll be used, but in English, I may use resultant because resultant means coming as a result. Something which arose as a result. So I may use the word resultant matter and resultant mentalities. Some may have some controversial opinions on that, but anyway, I just want to say that is the usage I'll be using. Now, what is this karma which has the capacity to give resultant mentalities and resultant matter? So it is the chetana. It is the chetana. For that, we need to go into a Pali sentence that I have given in page number 1, number 2.71, if you refer to 2.71, Mulatika offers us the requirement for a mentality to be of the capacity to yield results. So it gives us a very good fundamental. So I shall refer to this fundamental. Shall erase this Chetana part. Vipachana sabhavatacha. Vipachana sabhavatacha. This cha doesn't, we don't need to bring it to the explanation to understand the meaning. Anupachinna vijja tanha mana santani. This is a long word. Anupachinna avidya. So both A's becoming long. If you look into the handout, this A of Anupachinna and avidya has lengthened into A, but I shall write it separately. Avidya, tanha, mana, santani. Santana means a mind stream or the aggregates, 5 aggregates. So, Anupachinna, avidya, tanha, mana, santani, tanha, mana, santani, sabhya paratha. Sabhya paratha. So, we don't need to worry about cha here. So, these are the vipachana sabhavata means the nature of producing results. The nature of producing results. Vipachana sabhava. Sabhava is nature. Vipachana is resulting. The nature of resulting. So vipachana sabhavata, what is the nature of resulting? So if we put this into English terminology, what does it mean? Due to which, due to what quality, due to what requirement, or due to, not requirement, sorry, due to what conditions, or due to what characteristics, a reality gets the ability to give results. I'll repeat again. Vipachana sabhavata here means the nature of yielding results. So this sentence gives us what are the necessity factors, why some reality has the capacity to give a result. So these are the two conditions. Two conditions have been given. Anupachinna, uneradicated. Santana means a mind stream, or either you can say the 5 aggregates. It has to arise. Now please focus. The Chetana has to, a mentality, sorry, not Chetana, I would say. A mentality has to arise in a mind stream where avidya, ignorance, tanha, craving, mana, conceit. Ignorance, craving, conceit. Ignorance, craving and community, not it should be conceit. Please correct it. It's a huge mistake. 4th line of the 2.71. Ignorance, craving and conceit are not community. Right, anyway. So ignorance, craving and conceit. In a mind stream where ignorance, craving and conceit are not eradicated. So that mentality has to arise in a mind stream where these defilements are not eradicated. What does it mean? It means a non-arahant. Who has eradicated all these 3? Arahant only. Because ignorance is fully eradicated at the Arahat Magga. Craving is fully eradicated at the Arahat path consciousness, by the path consciousness or the path, noble path. Conceit, aspimana, remains still Arahanthood, right? So it means it has to be a non-Arahant. Arahants do not accumulate karma. A mentality which arises in a mind stream where these 3 qualities, these 3 defilements are not eradicated. And also, sabhya parata. So it is not eradicated. I shall word the choose santana in a mind stream. Now, sabhya parata. Sabhya parata normally refers to effortfulness. Effortfulness. Effortfulness means when it arises, It has a sort of an effort that makes on that moment. It's not something which has been produced by a past karma. Vipakas, the resultant consciousness, are caused by past karma, and they do not have this effortful nature. They don't have the effortful nature. For instance, if you think someone makes a movement, now if I want to move here from here to here, I make an effort and move. But sometimes, while I'm just here, if someone pushes me, I just naturally move. That was not done with my effort. It was done by the force given by someone else. So vipaka chitta chetasikas arises as a result of the past karma. The force is in the past karma. But the remaining consciousness, other than resultant, arises with their effort. It means that at that moment, some sort of effort can be seen. That is called sabhyaparata. But not all consciousness that has an effortful nature has the ability to produce results. It has to have the extra powerful nature. So powerful nature is given by javana, the state of javana. A mentality has to come into the dynamic state. We normally translate this dynamic, right? So javana state in order to have that ability. So these are actually though two conditions has been mentioned in the sub-commentary, we have to know there are three conditions. A mentality has to be effortful. A mentality has to arise with the javana consciousness, a powerful consciousness, and it has to arise in a mind stream where the defilements are not being eradicated. And according to the Pahana, now this covers the entire range. Now this is found in the Dhammasangani sub-commentary. It covers all the mentalities of this nature. All the mentalities. Consciousness and mental factors which arise in a mind stream where the defilements are latent, tendencies are not eradicated, and which are also effortful, and also which arise with the javana consciousness, or in the position of a javana, has the capacity to give results. Because if you look into the third triad of the Dhammasangani, vipaka dhamma, neva vipaka, na vipaka dhamma. Vipaka dhamma, the mentality, the realities that has the ability to give result are the consciousness and the mental factors, which are wholesome and unwholesome. But if you go into Pahana exclusively, it mentions the chetana. Only chetana has the capacity to give results. So now this is the fourth condition. A chetana which arises in a mind stream where defilements are not eradicated, and which also has the effortful nature, and also which arise with a powerful consciousness, is to be called as karma that can give result. Karma. This karma can give, the definition comes for giving, arousing resultant mentalities, but the same fundamental has to be applied for the karma that produces Kamaji Rupa as well. Now, this is our discussion today. Our discussion is how this chetana, which has these three characteristics. What are the three characteristics? Arising in a mind stream where the defilements are not eradicated, having the effortful nature, arising with a powerful javana consciousness. We are talking about the effect of the latent defilements to this chetana. Effect of these latent defilements to this chetana. If I just draw it in a diagram, for instance, if this is the mind stream, if this is the chetana, and we have avijja, tanha, and mana latently. They do, now this is an effortful chetana which arises with a javana chitta. These defilements do affect this chetana. They have effect on this. If it is a kusala, they arise together with it. If it is a kusala, they affect. So what is this effect? This is the effect, especially we are talking about the effect given by tanha. Effect given by tanha to the chetana. So this is the reason why one single chetana, one single kamma gets the capacity to produce various kamaja santatis which have different capacities, different functions, different abilities. So we'll move into a new page. So it shows that so far what we have discussed, avidya, tanha, craving, avidya is ignorance, and mana, conceit, effect, the karma, chetana. So our focus is at tanha. Is at tanha. What does this chetana? What this chetana does? What does this chetana do? Now, chetana produces vipaka, chitta chetasikas, and kamaja rupa. They produce vipaka, chitta chetasikas, and kamaja rupa. Right? Affected by tanha. Kamma is like an instrument. Now this is vipaka, chitta chetasikas and kamaja rupas is what we get to continue our lives because we have a desire to live. That's natural for any being. Even though we know the samsara is suffering, still we want to live. Right? We still want to continue. We don't want this nama rupa to end. That is an inherited craving that every being has. Now, how this desire is accomplished? We have a craving. We have a craving to live, and living is the accomplishment. Living here doesn't mean after you are born, living throughout that life. No. What I'm saying is, after death, continue to live, continue to exist, because death is a moment where our nama rupas get terminated. So when they get extinguished, if it completely extinguishes, then there is no continuation, there is no life. So our desires are not accomplished. Accomplishment of desire means continuation of nama and rupa after death. After we are born, during the entire lifespan, we may live even though you doesn't have a craving or you have eradicated the craving, the process will continue. So the desire is to continue even after death. The desire is to continue even after death. Though we don't think in that way, that is our inherited nature. At moment of death, we still struggle for survival. That is why suddenly if we face an accident, we get the urge to run away from it. If an elephant comes to you, you may start running. If the earthquake happens, you start to find a shelter. If someone bombs this area, we may run into a bunker. Why is that? At the moment of death, we struggle to survive. We want to survive. It means we are not fed up with our life. We still want to continue. Then someone can ask the question, why? Then what happens to a suicidal person? One who suicides, has he got rid of all the desires? No, it's most of the cases where you suicide yourself. People suicide themselves because they cannot face the problems that they are encountering. Now, for example, if someone wants to die because he's quite old, imagine a thought experiment. Some kind of a powerful being comes and makes him younger. Would he like to die? No. Most probably not. If someone wants to kill himself because of an uncurable disease, some magician or some powerful being comes and cures him, he would say, no, then I have decided to live on. So likewise, in most of the cases, people die because they cannot face the problems that they have encountered. But there are some cases that due to wrong views, people may suicide. Due to go into the heavens, people may suicide. Sometimes wrong views may cause them, because someone can have an idea that death is the utmost happiness. So then they may kill themselves. There is also to gain the happiness. And wrong view can do crazy things. But still, the inherited craving to live, the struggle for continuation, still continues. So this tanha, craving, has a desire to live, but the craving cannot accomplish this by itself. It needs an instrument. If you want to cut a tree, you cannot just cut it by hand. You need an axe to cut it. You need some instrument to cut. So likewise, craving cannot accomplish this living task. So it needs an instrument. That instrument is karma. That instrument is karma. Karma makes you to cause you to live. It produces patisandhi. It gives you the rebirth. Karma is the one that gives the rebirth, but according to the desire of the craving, according to the wish of the craving. As Lady Sayadaw puts this, craving is like a king, while karma is like a minister. Minister accomplishes various projects in a country, but in accordance with the desire of the king. He cannot go beyond the rule of the king. So if he makes a reservoir in an area, or he built a certain pagoda or a building, he can only do it if he has the approval of the king. Sometimes he may not ask the king, but he knows that the king would approve it. He is not able to do something beyond the scope of the king. If he does, he'll be punished. Likewise, karma is under the influence of craving. Craving is like the king, karma is like a minister. Now, the karma gives results under the influence of craving, under the influence of the craving. Now, what sort of craving is affecting the karma decides what sort of results it's giving. I'll repeat again. Nature of the craving affecting the karma. Nature of the craving affecting the karma decides what sort of results the karma can give. What sort of results karma can give. Now, for that, to illustrate that, we'll go to a new page. Now, this is the karma affected by craving. Craving, though it is a one ultimate reality called lobha, it has various facets. We know various types of cravings. You can go into the paragraph number 2.90, 2.89 first. A karma gains the capacity to produce various kamaja santatis which perform different functions due to being affected by diverse cravings. I use the word plural word, cravings. Uneradicated craving affects wholesome and unwholesome deeds. Cravings that affect karma are manifold. Some of them are as follows. Desire to see objects. Desire to hear sounds. Desire to smell. Desire to taste. Desire to feel the touch. Desire to cognize objects, know the objects with mind. Sexual desire. Feminine desire. Masculine desire. Desire to live. These are some of the cravings which are in our mind stream. Now these cravings do affect the karma. And also we have to keep in mind, there is a phenomenon called Pahana, suppression and eradication. If craving is eradicated, a certain type of a craving is eradicated, you don't need to worry about it, it's not going to affect. At the same time, the same way, if a craving is suppressed, greatly suppressed by jhanas, by higher meditation, that craving would not affect the karma. So unsuppressed craving, so I give another adjective to this. It's not only craving, the unsuppressed craving. Affect the karma. If craving is suppressed, it cannot affect. It cannot affect. We have various types of craving. Craving for seeing. Craving to hear. Craving to smell. taste, for this act, T-A-S-T-E, no, taste. Then craving to feel the touch, craving to cognize objects. Then we have sexual desire. Then we have craving to live. I'll just exclude the masculine and feminine craving, which will be discussed in the Bhava Rupa. Now, these are the cravings that are affecting. Now, think about a karma. We know even a single karma sometimes can produce all the Kamaja santatis in one life. Various karmas can produce various santatis at the same time. Even a single karma can produce all the Kamaja santatis in one life. It's possible. Now, think about a person, an ordinary person, who has not suppressed any of these cravings. So his karma is affected by the craving to see. Now karma gives results. Karma, the purpose of karma, now we decide craving, living is our accomplishment. So it's attained through karma. Craving affects karma. Karma accomplishes the task. The king orders the minister does the work according to the order. But the craving is not ordering, it's just a simile. Now, we have a craving to see various objects. So now, as a person who has not attained arahantship, who has not eradicated the craving for living, he is supposed to be born after that. Now think someone is going to die. His craving for seeing is not eradicated. A certain karma comes forth to give result, give a rebirth. That karma has been affected by the craving to see, because it's not been suppressed. So when a karma comes forth affected by the desire to see, what would be the outcome? This karma affected by craving to see would produce a certain matter that facilitates seeing. So it produces chakku santati. That the same karma affected by craving to hear would produce sota santati. Same karma has that capacity. Why? It has been affected by various craving. So here you should not take craving as one thing. You have to take the facets of craving. So likewise, I think you can understand, craving to smell, that karma, affected by that karma, affected by that craving, karma can produce gana santati. Gana santati. Then craving to taste, affected by this craving, that karma can produce jivha santati. Then craving to feel the touch, affected by this craving, karma produces kaya santati. Then craving to cognize. So when someone has a craving to cognize, see objects with mind, that karma would produce consciousness, patisandhi chitta, also called mentalities, resultant mentalities. That's better to say like that. And also, that mentalities need some support in the realm of 5 aggregates, like in Brahma, Deva and human realms. Brahma is Rupa, Achara Brahmas. So it would produce Vattu Santati. Because the consciousness other than in the Arupa realm cannot sustain alone. So it needs a support. Then sexual craving would cause, according to the Dhamma, according to the teachings, would call the bhava santati. It can be either feminine or masculine. Then craving to live, continue, right? Craving to live would produce, which causes all the facilities to continue. Especially now, if this is a little bit a complicated issue. Now, craving to live covers the desire to exist as a being. Then in that case, we have to divide this craving. Craving for nama and craving for rupa. Craving for nama and craving for rupa. So, if craving for nama is suppressed, as the desire to live still exists, he may not get the if the craving for nama is not suppressed, but the rupa is suppressed, he may get a life with consciousness. If the craving for nama is suppressed, but not the rupa, he may get a life with corporeality. It's not possible that both the cravings would be suppressed at the same time. And also, that craving for living in other beings also produces jivita santati, which enables for us to continue. If the craving for rupa is not there, it may not produce jivita santati. It's just a complicated issue. I'll not bring that here, but it can be explained. We'll talk about this when we come to jivitendriya rupa, most probably tomorrow. Now, how do we prove this? This is called the phenomenon of craving. I name it as phenomenon of craving. How do we prove this notion? Now, think about a person who has attained jhanas. A person who has attained jhanas. When you attain the jhanas, you get rid of the desires for the 5 sensual objects, right? 5 sensual objects. It means he doesn't have a desire to see beautiful objects, hear sweet sounds, smell sweet smells, to have pleasant taste or to feel pleasant touch. He doesn't have that sensuality within him. So the cravings are suppressed. But having attained the rupa avachara jhanas, one has not completely eradicated the desires to the rupa. So he still has the desire to see beings similar to him, and also to have discussions with him, and also have a desire to listen to good noble teachings, and also to see noble beings. So even now, when someone attains jhanas, though all the desires for the 5 sensuality is suppressed, there is some sort of a desire to see and hear. These are special because they are sometimes helpful to our life. And also they have a natural desire to discuss or to be with other beings who have attained the jhanas. So therefore, when someone attains the jhanas, what has been fully suppressed are the cravings for smell, taste and touch. Because these 3 cravings are only, if someone has a craving for them, it's mostly for the sensual desires, the satisfaction of sensuality. Hearing and seeing, someone can have noble attitudes as well. To see good beings, to listen to the noble Dhamma. So when someone attains the jhanas, these 3 cravings are suppressed. So as a result, what happens? Someone born having attained a jhana, he may not get. As the craving for smell is suppressed, Gana Santati is not going to happen in the Brahma realm. As the craving for taste is suppressed, Jivha Santati is not going to happen in Brahma realm. As the craving to feel the touch is suppressed, Kaya Santati is not going to happen in the Brahma realm. Then craving for sexuality, sexual craving is fully suppressed. Not eradicated, I have to mention, fully suppressed by this jhanas. So what is the result? The bhava santati, which is an effect of sexual craving. The Paramatha Dipani says this kama tanha, the sexual desire, drive, is the reason for the bhava santati to happen. So as this craving is suppressed by attaining jhanas in the next life, in a Brahma realm, you may not get the bhava santati. Then another example. Now this is about the Brahmas. Now think about someone gives up the craving to cognize, suppresses the craving to cognize by attaining the fifth jhana in the Vayokasina and developing chitta viraga bhavana asanya to obtain asanya satta. He disgusts the consciousness, such as mentioning as dhicittan. This consciousness gives lots of troubles and he gets dispassionate towards the consciousness after attaining the fifth jhana. So if he has accomplished this chitta viraga bhavana, dispassion, mental dispassion meditation, I would call mental dispassion meditation. If he has accomplished, it means his desire to cognize objects has been suppressed. As a result, his karma is not going to give mentalities at the patisandhi. Is not going to produce any vatturupa because it's not necessary. If there's no mentalities, there's no necessity of vatturupas. So when the desire to cognize is being suppressed, resultant consciousness would not happen. Patisandhi chitta would not happen. If patisandhi chitta doesn't happen, none of the consciousness is going to happen in that life. And there is not going to be any vatturupa which supports the consciousness. If someone suppresses the desire to the entire realm of Rupa, all the Rupas, by attaining Arupa jhanas, none of these Rupas would happen. He may only get mentalities. Arupa jhana is said to be the dispassion, matter dispassion meditation. Rupa viraga bhavana. By accomplishing this, you suppress that desire to the Rupa. So if that desire is suppressed, none of the Rupa Kamaja santatis are going to happen. If you have suppressed the desire to the consciousness, the cognition, no resultant consciousness, no patisandhi consciousness is going to happen. As a result, no consciousness is going to occur during that life. If you have suppressed the desires for smell, taste and touch thoroughly in the following life, you may not going to attain Gana, Juha, Kaya santatis. If the sexual drive has been suppressed, you're not going to get Bhava santatis in the following life. So this absence of certain Kamaja santatis shows how they are closely related with craving. In Theravada Buddhism, when we want to explain the support given by a cause to a certain effect, we may take two approaches. That is called Anvaya and Bhyatireka approaches. In Pali we call Anvaya. Anvaya is positive. Bhyatireka is negative. Anvaya explanation is imasming sati idang hoti. Imasming sati idang hoti. It means when this is existing, when due to this arises. Due to this arises. Bhyatireka is negative. Imasming asati. When it doesn't exist, idang nahoti. It doesn't come into being. This is called Bhyatireka, negativity. So the sub-commentators mention that out of the two, Bhyatireka is more powerful. That is the statement that we use to conclude that this cause is necessary for the arising of the effect. So likewise, these two approaches. Out of the two, Bhyatireka padhano. Bhyatireka padhano hetulakkano. The characteristic of a cause greatly is shown by its negative. Now, negative means negation. When it doesn't exist, the effect would not happen. When Chakupasada is there, we may see Chakku Vijnana arises, but when it is not there, it's not going to happen. So it shows that, its negation shows that Chakupasada is a vital factor, even while other factors are around. Now, so in this explanation as well, the phenomenon of craving which I shall discuss in detail later on again. The phenomenon of craving is also attained by this negation. If someone has not suppressed any of these desires, he's going to get all the Kamaja Santatis, like what we got, right? Because we haven't suppressed, it shows that we have not attained jhanas in the previous life. We have not suppressed our defilements. So yes, welcome to the Kama realm. So then, if someone has suppressed the desires to smell, taste and touch, because hearing and seeing are exceptional, there are exceptional cases for that. So if you have suppressed these three by attaining jhanas, one is not going to get Gana, Jiva, Kaya Santatis, which facilitates smelling, tasting and feeling the touch. If someone has suppressed the sexual drive, he is not going to get any Bhava Rupas, Bhava Santatis in the following life. If someone has suppressed the desire to do the Rupa, he may not get any Rupa in the next life, he will be born in the Arupa realm. If someone suppresses the desire to cognize objects, he may not get into, he may not get a consciousness in the following life. Just a matter would be there. And the matter that are real. Now, for example, why doesn't Asanya Satta being doesn't get the Chakku Pasada, Chakku Santati? Because his desire to cognize has been suppressed. So it also includes seeing. Seeing is facilitated by Chakku Santati. So if there is no seeing, if there is no desire for him to see, he is not going to get any consciousness. If not consciousness is going to happen, there is no necessity of a Chakku Pasada. So Buddhism talks about the doctrine of necessity. So we have three main doctrines in the world. The doctrine of accidental doctrine, like it happens out of nothing. Everything is just an accident, like the Big Bang. The divine creation, everything was created by a very high, powerful creator or a being. The doctrine of necessity. These things has to happen in this way, due to a certain purpose, or due to a certain reason, or due to the laws, mostly due to the laws. So Buddhism falls into this category, doctrine of necessity. If consciousness, if the suppression, if the desire to cognize objects has been suppressed, no consciousness is going to happen, including the consciousness of seeing, then there is no necessity for the Chakku Santati to happen in order to facilitate seeing. So likewise, and then we can also think about if someone has become an anagami, he completely eradicated the desires, sexual desire to see, taste and touch, smell, taste and touch. So he's not going to get any Gana, Jiva, Kaya Pasadas throughout the entire life from that day onwards. Because after becoming anagami, you're not going to fall into the Kama realm. You have completely eradicated, not suppressed, eradicated the desires for the sensuality. So anagami is not going to get any more Gana, Jiva, Kaya and Bhava Rupas, because the craving has been eradicated. So likewise, and if someone has eradicated the entire range of craving, including the craving to live, he's not going to get any Nama and Rupa after death. That's the Arahant, right? So therefore, these Kamaja Rupas and Vipaka Chitta Chesikas has a great relationship with the craving. Our craving is to continue to live, so our life continues. Life means our existence continues after death. It is extended by producing Kamaja Rupa and Vipaka Nama, Vipaka Chatasya. So at the moment of death, immediately after the moment of death, if any of them are produced, if both or any of them, then it means our samsara is extended. Why it is extended? Because we have a desire to extend, continue to live. And that is the desire of the craving. And it is done, that task is accomplished by karma. And that karma is greatly affected by this craving. So as a result, it produces Kamaja Rupa and Vipaka Chitta Chesikas according to the desire. Then someone can ask a question, what about the person who loses doesn't have eye sensitivity in the human realm. Yes, there are, now this is the basic phenomenon. A strong karma can interrupt this and cause someone not to have some of these facilities. Like for example, because of a strong past karma, even though he has not suppressed the desire to see, due to a certain karma, he may not get this chakku pasada. Or if the karma is too weak, he may not get the chakku dasaka kalapa. The thing is, a person who has not suppressed has the desire to these acts, seeing, smelling, hearing, touching and so forth. If that is not obtained, if he doesn't have that opportunity, it's a great suffering. Because he has not suppressed the desire. So he's supposed to be born in the karma realm. He still has the desire to see, hear, smell, touch and all these. But still, if he doesn't get these chakku pasada and so forth, that is a great suffering. That is, mostly it happens due to a weak kusala karma or obstructed by another akusala karma. Now what do you think about the Brahmas? Is it a suffering for them to not to have the feeling of smell, taste and touch? No, because they don't have the desire. They obtain it by their will. It's a higher state. It's a higher blissful state, blissful than the human realm. So in that case, as the desire is not there, they are not attaining. But the beings in the karma realm, when they lose some of the faculties by birth, that is either due to the weakness of karma or affected by an unwholesome deed. So it's a great suffering. But for the Brahmas, absence of these three sense faculties and absence of the Bhava Rupa is not a suffering, because they do not get it, because they have suppressed these desires by their own will, with their own will. So this is the phenomenon that I would like to describe. Now to conclude it, why this single karma gets the ability, one more thing, there is no possibility that you can suppress the craving for living, craving to live. There is no suppression of craving to live. Either you eradicate it or you have it. Craving to smell, the sexual drive, craving to cognize, craving to the Rupa. Either you may have it in its full-fledged capacity, or either you may suppress it or you may eradicate it. So there are three ways. It's not suppressed, it is suppressed, is eradicated. Suppressed means still there but not fully eradicated. It has been weakened. But the craving for living, there's only two stages. Either you have it fully or you eradicate it. There's no suppression for craving for living. There's no suppression. So as a result, what happens? Someone can ask this very tough question. Bhante said, you can suppress the desire for Rupa and you may attain a life without Rupa. You may suppress the desire to cognize and you may attain a life without consciousness. So how about someone who suppresses both? So if someone suppresses both, is he going to get existence without Nama and Rupa? No. Because the craving for living is some more fundamental than the craving for Rupa and Nama. It's called Bhavatanha, craving for living. So either you suppress the craving for Rupa due to the desire to live, you may get Nama. Either you suppress the craving for Nama due to the craving to live, you may get Rupa. Even you try to suppress both, what has been highly suppressed what has been highly suppressed would be absent, other thing would come out, because the desire to live dominates in the end. Desire to live dominates. Therefore, it's not possible that one may attain a life without Nama Rupa, just merely suppressing the desire to Rama and Rupa. The only way for that is just to eradicate them. So then you're not going to get any life after death. And this also shows the difference in Buddhism from other religions. Some would say a termination of suffering. Suffering is cut off at the death. No, Buddhism says non-arising of suffering. Nirvana is not the cutting off of a continuing suffering, a stream of suffering that has been continued. Nirvana doesn't happen at the moment of the passing away of the consciousness, death consciousness of Arahant. Nirvana means the non-arising is not happening again. Why is that? Causes has been removed. Causes has been removed. So why this now? I'll conclude the lecture. Karma. Why this karma got the ability to produce different Kamaja santatis, which has different capacities and functions, that is due to being affected by various facets of craving. So as the same karma affected by this craving to see and craving to hear, craving to smell, may produce Kamaja santatis, which facilitates to accomplish that craving. So how to accomplish that craving? How to accomplish seeing? By getting the eye consciousness. For that you need Chakku santati. So likewise, this is how we find out the relationship between Kamaja Rupas and craving. Kamaja Rupa, Kamaja santati and craving. It also shows us the relationship between Vipaka Chitta Chitsika and craving as well. I shall be discussing about this in detail with a very explained discussion with arguments at a later stage when we come into the topic. So this also, to conclude, this also shows that what we get are results of causes. These Kamaja Rupas that we have in our life are resulted by karma. Cause is karma, and that karma is also affected by some other cause. So it shows that it's completely out of our control. It all happens according to the law of like a phenomenon, non-self phenomenon. Yeah. So it also helps you to have an insight wisdom. I conclude the lecture, opening the forum for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Hello everyone. As usual, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and put your question in the chat box. Hi, Bhante. I have so in the 2.84.6 and 2.84.7.
Yeah.
Right, you said that the Ekibha Vasantati and Bumba Vasantati cause automatic the body to be feminine or masculine, and also affects the mind stream to have feminine attitude and masculine attitude. What do you mean by that? It affects the mind stream to have those attitudes.
Yes. It means like now we shall discuss this most probably next week, the Bhava Rupa. So in order to explain this, we have two types of cravings explained by certain Abhidhamma scholars, renowned Abhidhamma scholars. They say the feminine craving and masculine craving. So the feminine craving, but there is no such a chitta called feminine chitta or masculine chitta. Chitta is just the consciousness. The nature of the craving can be divided into two groups. So this craving causes the mind stream to have feminine and masculine attitudes. And that craving is the main reason for us to get either of the Bhava Rupas. And what happens is, after we gain the Bhava Rupa, after we have it in our bodies, it affects our mind again as well. The craving, the latent craving which is active would affect our mind stream, and that craving causes the Bhava Rupas to happen in our body, and that Bhava Rupa again would causes the mind stream to have certain attitudes or desires. So maybe my wording was not very perfect in that sense, but what I wanted to mention was, now think about when our life grows, males and females during certain age periods get different desires. That is because of the hormone reaction in our bodies. So according to Dhamma, this is completely governed, because why certain hormones is released in bodies of a male or a female is due to the genetic structure, and according to Dhamma, it is done due to the Bhava Rupa. It is determined, controlled by the Bhava Rupa. So Bhava Rupa greatly affects the mind as well. So when we come to the Bhava Rupa lecture, we mention Bhava Rupas. There are two effects of Bhava Rupa. It affects the entire body at the same time. The mind stream of the person.
Okay, thank you, Bande. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And the other question is, Bande, when you talked about the phenomenon of craving, at the beginning, you said, if I remember correctly, then you said that Kama is like an instrument and Tanha is like the doer, right?
Yeah.
But it looks to me, should we switch the roles here, Bande? So Kama is the doer and the Tanha is like the instrument. So the Kama should be the one who gives the result with the help of Tanha. Right? We have many kinds of cravings if anyone is suppressed. So the Kama doesn't have that tool to give the corresponding results. Should we think of it that way?
Yeah, it's a very nice argument which I have not thought before. When you say it, it made sense to me as well. I think now there are two similes given in Paramattha Dipani. I'll just explain you what the similes are. Gives us an explanation about a gardener who plants trees and get the crops. So there are three things that are necessary. There should be a land, there should be a gardener, and there should be some seeds. So this gardener plants the seeds and protects the plants, and in the end he gets the results. So the results are the 5 aggregates. The land was like the avijja, which was the initial cause of the generation, and the kama are the seeds which gave birth to these 5 aggregates, and they were dug, they were planted, they were watered, they were protected by the gardener. So craving gives us the drive to do certain actions and causes us to think in certain ways. We desire to get a certain thing. So the gardener was desiring to get the crops. So as a result, in the Four Noble Truths, the gardener, the tanha, was given the prominency by the Buddha. That is the explanation given by Lady Sayadaw. And then one who executes the acts is the minister, and according to the desire of the king. King doesn't do much things. He just orders, or then one executes. So looking into these similes, I brought this thing. So it's not like, it's better to say, rather than saying instrument, as you said, when you point out, I find it's a little bit controversial what the example I gave. I think I would shift into a different simile, causative subject, and the tanha is like the causative, like the one who orders to do something, and the one who does the action is like karma. So if I bring the instrument, as you said, it means like it seems like the tanha is doing the karma is doing the act with the help of craving. I better shift my example to a causative doer. I think you know that in grammatically. One is ordering someone to do something. So the actual doer is karma. The one who orders is the person, the craving. Yeah, thank you for pointing it out.
Okay, thank you, Bande. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And the next question is, Bande, is it like us making money in various ways? Different karmas have been generated. After so much savings, wholesome or unwholesome deeds we accumulated, if we don't have a desire to spend it for a specific purpose, the purpose will not be achieved even though there is enough money to do so. If this thinking is correct, does that mean that we should practice making more wishes, good wishes?
So the simile is, one has money and it's in the bank. If someone doesn't have a desire to use them, that would not be used. So that is the simile, right? So should we have a desire to use? So whether you desire or not in the mind stream, as you have a desire latently, the money will be used. It's like the karma will be used even though you don't wish for it. The wish is also latent. Unconsciously we are in a certain, consciously, like, even though we are not aware of it, we have a desire to live that is in a latent level. That latent level desire is greatly affecting. Therefore, even you don't make a wish, the karmas you have accumulated would gives you result. But if you completely cut off the craving, I beg your pardon, if you cut off the craving, those karmas would not have an opportunity to give results. So it's like if the owner dies, for example, the owner dies, that money is not going to give any result to him. So likewise, if the craving dies away, even craving is eradicated, karma is not going to give any results. So if you make wishes, yes, that's good, that because now karma, think about a wholesome karma, because unwholesome karma, you don't want to make wishes, right? It's going to happen without your desire. So if you have made a lot of wholesome karmas, this has the potency, this has the capacity to give results, but what kind of results? It is not determined yet. Some karmas have the nature of determining what kind of results are going to give, but most of the cases, now, for example, you have done a good karma, it has the potency to be born as a human being. So you can be born as any human being, because the karma was done to be born as a human. Now it has the capacity to be born as a human. So according to Sankarupati Sutta, what the Buddha has mentioned, if you make your desire, okay, I'll be born in such a family with a Buddhist family, or a whatever family, a rich family. So if that karma has that, if it has the capacity to fulfill, it may be focused at your desire to the point that the desire is willing to. So likewise, if you make wishes, we can utilize the money that we have, the karmas that we have, much effectively. So that's a good thing. So that's why the commentators say, after you doing good deeds, you should make a proper wish. But even though you don't wish, the karma will be used, because latently we still have the craving to live.
Thank you, Bante. Sadhu. Next question is, Bante, craving is the main cause for karma and rebirth to arise. How about the mental process that has only wandering thoughts, or sloth, or torpor? That is, when no craving is present. Will such mental jhana cause karma strong enough for rebirth?
Not all karmas have the capacity to give a rebirth. Not all karmas have the capacity to give rebirth. But any karma that arises in the jhana level with an effortful nature has the capacity to give result. There are two types of results: rebirth results and results that are gained during the lifespan. Pavatti vipaka and patisandhi vipaka. These are the two. Patisandhi vipaka and pavatti vipaka. So every karma has the capacity to give pavatti vipaka. Not every karma has the capacity to give patisandhi vipaka. But just having sloth and torpor doesn't mean that it cannot give a rebirth. Now, a karma, whether it's strong or whether it is capable of giving a rebirth or not, is decided mainly by what kind of karma it is. So have you accomplished the karma? Have you killed the being? Now, sometimes even with sloth and torpor, like with sleepiness, you may just smash at a mosquito and kill it. But this sloth and torpor is not going to prevent you from prevent the karma from giving a rebirth. So just wandering thoughts here and there are quite weaker. So to my understanding, they are not capable of giving a rebirth, because they are just weak. But it doesn't mean that as long as you have not eradicated the craving, any of the karma that you have done in the past, or maybe in one of the past lives, would come forth and give result. That is a different case. Just wandering mind would not have that capacity to give results unless that wandering mind would desire, would wish for the destruction of someone, or wish that I may get the things that he has. So abhijja, vyapada, or if such thoughts happen, they can give results. But just wandering mind, thinking about just mere politics or the situation of the country, or something which happened in a sports game, or what happens yesterday, what you talk with your partner or your friends, it's not going to give a rebirth, because the strength of the karma is not determined by sloth and torpor. Does affect the strength of the karma, but it is not a factor to decide whether a karma can give a rebirth or not. It's mainly decided by the way of the karma, what sort of karma that you have done.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Next question is, Bhante, it is said that animal liberation may help prolong one's lifespan. Does it mean good karma created in this present life can prolong the lifespan of one's kamaja rupa in this present life?
It's another very good question, and Theravadians have a very specific answer for it. According to the Theravadians, if you look into the Dhammapada commentary, ones who are good in Pali can look into this statement. This is referred to as Abhivadana Silisa Gata. Abhivadana is one word. Silisa, right? Abhivadana Silisa Nityang Buddha Pachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vaddana Ayuvanno Sukhang Balang. So for the one who pays respect to the elderly regularly, gets 4 results: Ayu, extension of the lifespan; Vanna, increasing of the complexion, the body skin color, complexion, right? Complexion. Sukhang, the happiness, the bliss; Balang, the strength of the body. The commentators of this verse have clearly mentioned Vanna, Sapa, Sukha and Bala. Color, bodily complexion; bliss, physical and mental bliss; and the physical strength would increase by paying respect to the elderly. But the lifespan, increasing of lifespan is not the limit of the lifespan is determined by the strength of the karma which gave the rebirth. According to Theravada fundamentals, there is no possibility at all that you can increase the capacity of the lifespan in a certain life. What can we do is, in some cases, even though someone has a lifespan of 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, due to some obstacles, maybe sickness or a past karma, we may not be able to experience the entire lifespan. But by paying respect to the elderly, or as you said, liberating the animals, giving them an opportunity to live more, rescuing them from their certain death, one may get rid of such obstacles like the sickness or the past karmas. So you will be able to enjoy the entire lifespan you obtain at the moment of rebirth. But it's not possible a person got 50 years of lifespan from the rebirth. By doing karma, you cannot extend it to 60. If you happen to live 60, it means surely you have had a rebirth which could give 60 or more. You cannot go beyond the lifespan which was given from the rebirth. You may live shorter. For example, Buddha had a very long lifespan from the moment of rebirth. He says asankheya years. Even though he practiced, still now, even you do how much good karma, there is always a limit, because the world is impermanent. So if someone have a rebirth lifespan of 200 years, you may not be able to live for 200 years in this era, because the food and everything is not supporting. So extension, yes, the answer is yes, but in this way. It's not by increasing the years that you obtain at the rebirth. It's by removing the obstacles that prevents you from living the entire lifespan. So it is also mentioned as extending your life. That's what happened to Digayu, the little prince, little boy, who was about to die in 7 days. Buddha preached the paritta and removed the obstacle. I think a demon was going to come and eat him. as I remember, right? So the opportunity was not given. Then he lived for 120 years. But originally he had the capacity to live such years. Due to a past karma or some reason, he was going to die. So Buddha, what he did was, made him to pay respect to the Sangha, Buddha, and listen to Paritta, and also gave the protection. So his obstacle was removed, so he could enjoy the full-fledged lifespan.
Thank you, Pandit. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And the last question is, Pandit, is it possible that both Patisandhicitta and Patisandhikammaca Rupa arise due to one karma?
Yes, possible. In most of the cases possible. I shall discuss this about, at the end of the lesson of Kamaji Rupas, I am bringing a discussion. That discussion is mainly about the moment of when the Jivitindriya Santati arises. I am not going to talk about in the lesson of Jivitindriya. At the end of the Kamaja lessons, it's going to be a discussion. I'll bring all the evidences and information from both the sides. And what sort of karma would causes these Kamaja Rupas. So it is possible that all the Kamaja Rupas, starting from Patisandhi or throughout the entire life, can be produced by the karma which gave the rebirth. And some teachers say all the Kamaja Rupas are only produced by the karma which gave the rebirth. There is such an opinion as well, which is against the commentaries, but some teachers argue on this. So I shall discuss about this matter. But according to Lady Sayadaw, for surely, there are certain Kamaja Santatis that are produced by the Patisandhi karma, like Vattu Dasaka, Vattu Santati, Vattu Santati, Kaya Santati, likewise. I exactly forgot how many. So there are a few Santatis, and also Jivita Santati, if I remember. So all has to be produced by the karma which gave the Patisandhi. So it's possible. And that's what mostly happens as well.
Thank you, Pandit. Sorry, Pandit, there is one more question.
Okay, it's okay.
So the question is, is it a blessing to be born as it is a blessing to be born as Buddhists and learn the Dhamma. What decides our next life to be born as the Buddhist and not other faith? Can a dying person desire this wish to be born as the Buddhist?
Yeah, now it's like this. Someone can have a desire to go to the Disneyland, but he should have the money for that, right? He should have a ticket for that. I don't know, I haven't been to Disneyland, so some sort of interest should be there. So if you don't have that capacity, the desire is not going to make you to born there. So thing is, the number one case is not the desire, the capacity, the karma should be there. There should be a karma for us to come into that. So it's like the money that you have. So that karma is necessary for someone to be, that there should be a certain type of a karma that is required to be born in a certain place. So if someone has the karma, a strong karma to be born in a human realm and also to associate good friends, to be born among people who have a correct view, if you have that capacity, making a wish would make you so. But if he just have a strong karma done, a very powerful karma, but he hasn't have any sort of idea of to be born among people who are in good faith, or he may be born in a different place. So in such a case, making a wish, not guaranteed, gives you a high probability that you may be born among the people who follow the correct faith. So, but for that, you should have the capacity first.
Yes, but I mean, but then we know that we've been in this samsara for so long and we've been accumulated so many karmas, good karmas and bad karmas. So does that mean that we always have, good karmas available to us? So there should be a lot of karmas we have done in the past,
Right.
Should be able to give us what we need according to this question then.
Yeah, that's also true. Karma, rebirth is given by the karma. It's a tough question actually. Yeah, rebirth is given by the karma which came forth at the moment of death. So if someone make a wish according to that, yes, then the counter question can be asked, like if you wish for now, because I gave the answer based on these reasons. A person like a person who had done a lot of merits, there are stories that he decides, okay, which divine realm that I should move into. I should go in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. So people around him said, go to the fourth because you can meet the Bodhisattva. Then he said, okay, I'm a boy going to the fourth realm. But he had the capacity even to go to the sixth realm. So in such cases, it shows that he had the karma, the capacity to be though. So as you asked the question that we have done a lot of karma in the past lives, it doesn't mean that. So to answer this question, and that was also a reason that why I used the instrumental thing, that you have a desire to go somewhere, and its instrument is the karma to help it. But at the end, it shows that it's better to use the causative agent because the karma is doing the act in the end. So that's why, after you said, I prefer to go into the causative subject example. So now the next thing is, even though we have done a lot of karmas in the past, it's not that all that karma would give us good rebirth, because in the other way, we have done a lot of akusala karmas. It doesn't mean that we are going to be born in the woeful realms always. So we have a stock of karma that are accumulated. Another phenomenon that I have been thinking, but I cannot come into a conclusion, is that it seems like we shall discuss about this matter whenever we come to the lecture of karma. So it seems like when someone is born in a certain life, what sort of karma are going to be affected in it? It seems like there is a certain kind of a determined nature about what sort of karmas would affect his life and possible to affect his life. So even though we have done very strong karmas in very past samsara, that still has the capacity, it seems like not all of them are going to give result in a certain life. So when we are born in a certain life, it seems, that's what my observation is, when you look into the literature, it seems like now from the beginning, from the moment of rebirth, a person like Buddha would say, out of the numerous karmas that he has done, these are the karmas that are going to affect him in this very life, or these are the karmas that are possible to be affected. Like you can, by doing good deeds, you can bring past karmas into activation. So in that sense, whatever the karmas that have been accumulated from the past samsara, if they are possible to give if they have come forth to give rebirth, our wish may act according to that. But the karma, it seems like all the karmas that we have done in this life, there is a possibility that we may bring them forth according to our desire. If we think about a karma that done 5, 6, 10 years ago, even though it hasn't come up to give rebirth, we may be able to recall it and activate it. But it's not possible for the karmas done in past lives. So past lives karmas, it seems like when we are born in a certain life, these karmas, there is a lot of karma, which are fixed or which are possible to give result in a certain life. That karma may change in the next life due to some reasons. So I feel like out of the karmas that are possible to give the next rebirth, if there are karmas that has that higher capacity, including karmas in this life and the karmas that are possible, that have possible to be give results, if you make a wish and if that capacity is there, you may be born. That's how I feel about it.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu. Yes, and there's no more question, Bhante. Yes,
Okay,
thank you so
thank
much.
you. Right, so thank you for listening. Yes, I hope that you got an idea about the phenomenon of karma, and it was a nice discussion with all of you, and a lot of good questions were raised. Yeah, so this shows that Kamaji Rupas are results of karma. This karma produces these results according to the desire of the craving. And shows that this is a non-self process. So wish you all the best and hope to see you tomorrow. I shall be discussing about Jivitindriya Rupa. Jivitindriya Rupa. And may this merit help us to attain Nirvana and for the sustaining of the Buddha Sasana. And also may peace prevail in the entire world, and may the humankind be able to live peacefully and without any danger. Buddha Sasanang Chirantitthatu. Buddha Sasanang Chirantitthatu. Buddha Sasanang Chirantitthatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.